Oh my goodness gracious me. Good evening. This is the Paul Report. Technological nightmare when you haven't done a show in a while. So bear with me. Missing a few parts, but we'll be back in just a minute to start this machine up. Stick around. Hello, this is Ellie. I don't know if I've ever shown Ellie on screen before, but this is Ellie. Isn't she the cutest? Look at those eyes. Look at that face. What a beautiful face she has. Who's a good puppy? Who's a good puppy? Ellie? Is Ellie a good puppy? Okay, you gonna go? You're all tangled up in my... What'd you do here? There we go. All right. She's so damn cute. Look at that puppy. Ellie, where's your ball? Where's your ball? All right. Enough of that. You can get down. All right. Go lay down. Or go downstairs. One of the two. All right. Good evening and welcome to the Paul Report. I am your host, Paul. This thing is in my way. It's a little annoying. Like I said, I haven't done a show in a while. It's been too long, and technologically speaking, I've done several things since my last show. I shot a short film, which I took my lights that I use here with me and some other things with me, and I had to get all that set back up. I have my Stream Deck, which allows me to move between things and on the screen and put up graphics and stuff. That's still downstairs in the basement. I was using it on my editing machine. So I don't have that to do. So everything's going to be done manually. What else? My teleprompter software that I use to keep all my thoughts in order, shit the bed on me. So all of this I find out as I get up here at 8:45 in the evening. So be that as it may, I am still going to continue with my theme, and it would be nice to know who was here. I do see Jen. Jen said hello, and aloha to you, Jen. Mahalo. We just came back from an extended stay in Maui. Well, she had an extended stay. She was working, among other things, working diligently for her job and taking care of the property we were staying at. And then I joined her a couple of weeks later, and I was there for like 11 days. So magnificent time, and that, I can't say enough about that. As you can tell, my fit for this is one of the shirts that I got in Hawaii. So much fun. If you have a chance to go to Maui, go. It's kind of laid back. I'm sure there's some nightlife there somewhere, but we didn't partake in that because we're old people. But we had so much fun, so much to do, and so much to see. I got so many pictures I have to go through that I hope to be posting sometime soon. My microphone is sort of in my way, but that's okay. Andre's here. Thank you, Andre. Wanted to thank Andre and Hillary for watching our baby Ellie while we were gone. And I have a feeling she still misses you guys. So yeah, we'll arrange some times. She's gonna want to see you guys. Did she go down? Nope, she's at my feet, actually. So I'm just gonna. Do I have my drinky drink here? Okay. Sorry, my throat's been I've been dealing with like a nasal thing and stuff like that, so my throat gets really dry real quickly. So what better than barks? You like a dogs? You like a barks. Okay. All right. So the Chronicles, as I'm abbreviating it down, the Free Speech Chronicles. I thought about it, and I was going to go into this whole thing about free speech and why it's important and why we need it and who's doing what and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? I'm not going to change anyone's mind on any of this when it comes to free speech. The MAGA folks are going to believe what they believe, and the rest of us are going to believe what we believe. My version of free speech is me saying whatever the fudge I want to say, and facts will back me up. History will back me up. Okay? The current state of affairs will back me up. All right? Anyone who is not in agreement with me about something, throw it in the chat. You know what? Free speech. You can say what you want to say, and we both have the right to disagree. You're not going to change my mind. I'm not going to change your mind. All right? Don't tell me that I need to do this, ... I had someone on Facebook say, tell me I needed to find God because of my sick views. Okay? My sick views were that, I even forget which one it was with this guy because I've pissed off so many people on Facebook in the last days. One guy actually wrote in response to something I said to him, and I felt I gave it to him good. He comes back and says, oh, sorry, I was banging your mom. And I'm like, really? And what I wrote back was, seriously, you dug up her grave and took out her bones or whatever's left and had sex with that? You're a sick fuck. So, I mean, my mother's not dead, but he doesn't know that. So I just want to speak my truth. All right? My freedom of speech. I want to mention someone's name very badly, but I'm not going to. I will refer to them as Jesus Jr. for the duration of this show. And if you don't know who Jesus Jr. is, take a look at many photos that were posted of Jesus in the last couple weeks, and you'll see who's standing next to him. His protege, if you will. His next in succession. Bullshit. Lots of bullshit. There is a term that I need to pull up because I have trouble saying it. Not like acetaminophen. I can say that just fine, unlike some people who have a higher idiot quotient than I do. Because I can be an idiot. Trust me. Ask my wife. Ask both my wives. I can be an idiot. But this guy takes it to a whole new limit. Oh, not Jesus Jr., but Donald Trump. I can name him by name. I don't give a fudge. Oh, by the way, I should tell you that my 1 F-bomb per show is being suspended. There might be a few this show. So if you have kids watching, let me know in the chat and I'll try to tone it down. But if you don't have kids watching, it's a fuck free for all because I'm just a little agitated. Oh, and again, I don't have my normal notes because my teleprompter software is shit to bed. I don't know what, I'm getting an error. I probably have to do an update. So let me see if I can find just the other notes that I wrote. Oh, there we go. All right, let's see. You're over here. All right. Oh, here we are. Okay, and main story. All right. So, Jesus Jr. was not a saint. I in no way, shape, or form think he deserved to to be unalived at any point in his existence. Not now, not later, not before, not ever. No one deserves that, okay? Let me just say that. I do not cheer the people who were cheering on that event. Plain and simple, that's my disclaimer. I take no joy in this event happening, okay? I do take comfort in the fact that Jesus Jr.'s rhetoric is kind of halted for a little bit, okay? That I take comfort in, that it's being held up just a little bit on the going to places like colleges and such. I find comfort in that because the damage that was being done was turning out to be catastrophic. One of the terms that I learned about in this time after Jesus Jr.'s demise is the word or the phrase stochastic terrorism. And I heard about this and I'm like, what is that? So I read up on it. And let me just quickly read you a definition of what, well, actually, you know what? I actually have an audio file here of someone who talked about stochastic terrorism, what it is. And they would do a much better job of explaining it than I would. So let me see if I can find it and let me see if it'll play through. Let's see. Hold on a second. We'll see if it plays. Let's see. Allow. Nope. It's all right. That's not coming through. So let me see. Oh, I want to stop you. How do I stop it? Where is it playing from? All right. Oh, open with. Here we go. Let's open it with Ecamm Live. Okay. All right. Let's see where that went to and see if I can get that played. None of that's coming over, I assume. Damn it. It's playing in my ear, which is kind of messing with my head. And I can't stop it. All right. There we go. I cut that out. All right. Now, it did go somewhere. It did open up somewhere here. All right. Let's do this. All right. Let's do a save as. And let's save it to my desktop. It's that important that I'm going through all this shit for it. So please bear with me. All right. Here we go. And let's go to my file and desktop. There we go. All right. Let's see if we can make this magic happen. Let's put this in here. Will that go? No. All right. How about if I just put it here?
It's terrorism by statistical probability. You're not directing specific people. People are telling you Charlie Kirk never hurt anyone, the word stochastic terrorism. If people are telling you Charlie Kirk never hurt anyone, the word you're looking for is stochastic terrorism. Stochastic terrorism is when public figures use mass communication to incite violence against specific groups while maintaining plausible deniability. You demonize and dehumanize a group of people. You paint them as an existential threat. You use inflammatory, violent language. Then when someone acts on that rhetoric with actual violence, you get to step back and say, I never told anyone to do that. It's terrorism by statistical probability. You're not directing specific people to commit specific acts. You're just broadcasting hatred to millions, knowing statistically someone's going to act on it. And it works. Misogyny is on the rise, along with calls to remove women's rights. This correlates with rises in domestic violence and harassment. Studies show anti-LGBTQ rhetoric directly correlates to increased violence against queer people. When you have a platform with millions of followers and you consistently tell them that certain groups of people are an abomination or threats to children in society, some percentage of those followers will take action. The insidious part is when violence happened, Kirk got to step back and say, I didn't hurt anyone. But that's not how stochastic terrorism works. You don't need to give explicit instructions when you've spent years painting a target on people's backs. He built his career on hatred disguised as Christianity, violence disguised as patriotism, and eliminationist rhetoric disguised as political discourse. So don't let anyone gaslight you into thinking his words were harmless. Words have impact, platforms have responsibilities, and hatred disguised as righteousness is still hatred. Stochastic terrorism.
Okay. So there you have it. And a well-explained definition of stochastic. I see it. Took me a while. I had to practice it before the show. Stochastic terrorism. And it by definition is exactly what Jesus Jr. did. There was one example of, if I get on a plane and there's a pilot who's black, I'm going to question if he is qualified or not, if he was a DE&I hire. Now, speaking of that one lie specifically, Jesus Jr. said that one of the airlines, I think it was United, had a mandate that 40% or 50% of their pilots needed to be black, women, or minority in a time span. But that wasn't true, because they had a recording of the actual CEO saying, we hope to hire or have people apply 40% that are black, minority, women. Now, hiring for a pilot is very different than being a pilot, okay? Because of all the training and the certifications and everything you have to do, you just can't be hired as a woman or a black man, or a woman for that matter, and just become a pilot over a white person because of your skin color or your gender. Okay, you still have to go through the same training, the same certifications, the same amount of time to log flights, log this, log that. And if you don't make it, then you don't make it. Whether United hired you or not, if you don't make it as a pilot, you're not going to be a pilot. So for him to say, oh, I hope he's a qualified pilot, if they're sitting in the fucking chair, they're a qualified pilot. Now, I'm not talking about Northwest Airline pilots who were drinking on the job. They were qualified as pilots. They were just idiots for drinking on the job, and they were white. So let's be clear about that. So for him to say that, okay, and then he would talk it back a little bit, and then he would, again, say something like, oh, I never said that, or I didn't want that, or whatever, and I didn't do that. It's just a cycle that if you watch his clips, and he strategically put out clips that were only 10, 20 seconds long. Why? Because it's just enough to get the message out, but doesn't show you anything else about the retort from the person he was debating or anything like that. It was amazing when I went searching for videos, how many of them were so short and had nothing in there. And just enough for him to be, spewing his garbage, all right? I'm not going to spend the whole time on him because I don't want to do that. But what I do want to talk about next is all this crap that is happening to the whole of the Constitution. I mean, a gentleman who lives up the street from me, I don't know him, but I know that he lives up the street from me. ICE came to his house, or they followed him. He left his house in his car. They followed him. They rammed him off the road. They sideswiped his car. He wasn't running. He was going to work. They sideswiped him, broke his window, and dragged him out of the car. Why? Because his name was on a list. Is he a criminal? As far as I can tell, no. Did he commit a crime in this country? No. Is he married to someone in this country? Yes. Did he come here illegally? I'm not exactly sure because it really hasn't, nothing's really been said as much that I know he's been here for 10 years, but whether he came legally or illegally, okay, the idea that Donnie put forth was, we're going to get rid of the garbage, the rapists, the robbers, with the Iacita feta cheese them in. They're going after people that, while illegals need to be dealt with one way or the other, people are not here legally. I fucking hate the word illegals. Humans who are not here legally need to be dealt with one way or the other, okay? Whether it's through the courts, or whether it's through the courts, okay? There's no need for this roundup of regular fucking conservatives just, sorry, I didn't mean to say citizens. Regular humans who are here, or may have come here illegally, but are going through the proper channels to gain their citizenship, to gain their visas to stay here, okay? But what ICE is doing is just going in, grabbing people with their fucking coward masks on and picking everybody up and throwing them wherever they throw them, okay? No due process, okay? Nothing. And I'm not saying anything new. I'm just speaking my mind out loud to you all to either agree with me or disagree with me. That's all. If you disagree with me, then give me a reason why you disagree with me. You're not going to change my mind, most likely, because anyone who's disagreeing with me is definitely on the MAGA side of things, and MAGA only sees this. The bulk of MAGA, I'm sure there are some people in MAGA who might see this, but mostly this. Especially the guy who, again, told me today I needed to find God. First, he told me I needed to get help. I needed to get help for my problem of being so wrong and being so evil. Did you know that the number of right-wing acts of violence is nearly 300 times more than the left? Did you know that? Over a span of time, I forget how long it was, but evil, violent acts by the right, so much more than those on the left, okay? So when you talk about evil, you got to look in the mirror and wonder, why are my people so evil? When Melissa Hortman and her husband were gunned down, were there any kind words spoken by the conservative MAGA crowd? There might have been some. Might have been some actual Republicans who said something, maybe in a small way. But the bulk of them were jokes or memes, stuff like that. When Pelosi's husband was hit with a hammer, Don Jr. had a Halloween costume of a pair of underwear and a hammer, saying, "This is my Halloween costume this year." But the left is evil. Liberals are evil. When Jesus Jr. was murdered in cold blood, what did the left do? They denounced the violence. They sent their thoughts and prayers, which, the right understands thoughts and prayers. They've been sending them out all this time. Okay? Not one thing that the left said was evil, okay? Other than, Now when I talk about the left, I mean the bulk. I'm not talking about every single liberal, every single, because the way the right talks about it is like every liberal is evil and everything is this and everything is that. They talk in absolutes, okay? I at least try to talk about the bulk of them. I know a couple on the MAGA side that do have a heart and do have a soul and can see beyond the hatred and the evilness that is this regime that is in place right now. But for them to look at me and say, I need help because of my evil ways, or I need to find God because of my evil ways. I'm like, you think I want to find the God that you worship? Because he's fucked if that's what you want to do. I'm not worshiping your God. Your God thinks it's okay to marginalize vulnerable groups. You think it's okay to beat up trans people or gay people or the less fortunate? You think it's okay for, all these things to happen, but I'm the evil one. I'm the one that needs help. I'm the one that needs to find God. No, not at all. Not at all. The guy who told me that it was, doing my mom, you're a whole other story, pal. You are, as if you knew my relationship with my mother, you would know how that phrase or what you just said is like asking me if I want a glass of water. It's very benign. It's nothing. Okay? You would have told me, if you had told me you had, no, I won't even go there. Won't even go there. And that's the thing too, is that when I'm going toe to toe with these people online, at some point it becomes like a pissing match, okay? Where it's usually when they get to the point of name calling or saying something that's completely ludicrous. And that's when I just go full tilt, trying to find the best heckler line that I can throw at them. And then they get all like, and they start saying even worse things. And that's when I go, you know what? I'm done. You know what? You stoop to a level that is just, it's par for the course for you because you're an idiot and you don't believe in science or facts or anything like that. But I think that we should be allowed to speak our minds, okay? Now, I know the right speaks their mind, whether it's true or not, okay? That's their opinion. They want to talk about their opinion, but pass it off as fact. Free speech all the way around, okay? Free speech, remember, only protects you from the government protects you from the government stopping you from speaking. Private companies don't fall under the First Amendment. So these people who were fired for talking about Jesus Jr., it's a gray area. It's a very gray area because, it's like for Donnie Trump to reach out to his FCC Don and say, Don FCC, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to get rid of this Jimmy Kimmel guy. He's saying nasty things about me and I don't like it. Wah, wah. And then for the FCC guy to go, you never come to my house for a cup of coffee. You never bring me some bread or any olive oil. Oh, wait, I got olive oil. And he goes ahead and pressures ABC with, hey, I'm not going to give you this license or okay this merger if you don't get rid of this guy. So ABC, like a pussy, goes in and does it, okay? And this is what we can't do anymore, okay? We can't give in to terrorist demands. And that's what they are. They are a terrorist group. They're fascists, okay? I think if I heard correctly, they named Antifa a terrorist group. Do you know that Antifa is not actually a group of people, but more of a way of things? And do you know who the biggest, largest group to be funded for Antifa reasons? The U.S. military. Did you know that? That the U.S. military is part of Antifa? Because I swear to God, all this time I had no freaking clue what Antifa stood for. I thought it was like some sort of anagram or something, and I didn't ever care to look it up, okay? Because they blamed Antifa for all this stuff. January 6th, blah, 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 whatever. I found out that it stands for anti-fascist. Now, isn't that surprising that the current administration would name an anti-fascist, what would you call that? Anyone in the chat want to help me out? It's not a group, but what is the word? God darn it. I can't think of the word. A movement. I guess I'll call it a movement. I guess. I don't know what other better word to use. But the U.S. government under Donald Trump, president, just named an anti-fascist ideal as a terrorist group. Now, if a group names an anti-fascist group as a terrorist group, does not in logical terms make that government fascist? A movement, yes. So doesn't it make the government fascist if they named an anti-fascist group as a terrorist? Just curious if that makes sense to anyone else but me. So for those of you sitting around with your thumbs up your ass on the MAGA side going, well, Antifa's this and Antifa's that. No, Antifa isn't any of those things. Okay? It's not. It's a movement much like you taking a dump. It's getting rid of the garbage in a body of something. In this case, the country. Okay? So stop with your shenanigans. Again, I'm talking to the wall when it comes to action items from MAGA because they won't do it. They're not gonna all of a sudden go, Paul said this and holy shit. Mind blown. He's right. No. There are people much smarter, much more informed, much more intelligent than me telling you all these things. You don't believe them either. Maybe this is just therapy for me to get all this shit out at once so that way I can go back to my normal show afterwards. I don't know. But ever since Jesus Jr. was killed, it has been like a surreal existence with the whole, oh my God, the funeral, the memorial service. Holy shit. What's his name? Hold on. What's his name? Stephen Miller, this guy, the bald guy, quoted or repurposed in a speech by the Nazi minister of propaganda. His speech was directly lifted from a speech that he gave. If you don't believe me, Google that shit. You'll see the side-by-side comparison of what, I can't think of his name for the life of me, but what Miller said compared to what the Nazi guy said. Very similar. And talking about the liberals being the enemy and everything at that memorial service was like, are we in the fucking Twilight Zone at this point? Because they're crazy. Let's talk about trad wives for a second, shall we? So, Goebbels, that was the guy's name. It was Goebbels. Thank you, Andre. Let's talk about trad wives for a second. Jesus Jr.'s wife, Jesus Jr.'s wife, is now the head of his organization. Okay? Now, if you know anything about that organization, they push for women to be in the home and raise the children and take care of their man. Okay? His wife just became CEO of his organization, which means she'll be working for the organization. Now, did you know that his wife, check it on Google after I say it, his wife ran a nonprofit in some foreign country. And did you know that that organization dealt in sex trafficking of children? At least that's what I heard, allegedly. I actually heard it. I don't know if it's allegedly, but there was something with her and child trafficking that those two paths met. So watch out for this one. But still, she is way out of her element in that she is becoming what her organization doesn't want her to become, because they want women to be, they should be well taken care of by their man, and they should stay home and take care of the kids and do what they need to do for their husbands, etc. So she's going to preach all of this while not doing that. So there's a hypocrisy there. And I think that should be the word of the year. Hypocrisy. Because, God damn it, there's a lot of it going on out there. Okay? So much of it. All right? And I got to say, let me, Ellie, are you okay? Sounds like you're having a scratch attack. You okay? You all right? You okay? Do you want to come up and say hi again? There are new people on. I haven't seen you yet. Come here. Come here. No? Okay. She doesn't want to come up. I can say that the Democratic Party needs to get their head out of their ass. Okay? The whole thing about the being afraid of retribution if they don't do a certain thing. Stop that, okay? Stand up to the bullies, okay? Stand up to them, okay? Figure out your next move for the midterm and for 2028 and get your head out of your ass, okay? Because as an independent, I don't object to voting for a Republican, okay? I wouldn't. But they have to be the right Republican. Same as they have to be for the right liberal, okay? I will weigh the options and figure it out. Now, I'm telling you, ever since Trump became president, I started leaning way liberal because the Republican Party was just not the same anymore. And now I'm still leaning way liberal because the Republican Party is no more, okay? The Republican Party, as it was, is gone. They're replaced by MAGA, and MAGA doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon. So they need to get someone in there that has half a brain, okay? Not that Kamala didn't. I think Kamala would have done a fantastic job leading this country away from Trump and away from all the shit that's going on now. Would her approval rating be great? No idea, okay? We don't know because it didn't happen. So anyone saying, oh, Kamala would have done this and this would have happened, you don't fucking know, do you? But now that Trump's in office, we know exactly what he's done. We see it, we're living it, we're feeling it, okay? When my auto insurance has to go up because the cost of the tariffs against building materials and stuff like that has all driven all the prices up, and my house insurance has to go up because of replacement value, that directly affects me. Okay? So not only are grocery prices higher, my insurance is higher, okay, for my house insurance. All right? So please, please, please don't assume what would have happened under Kamala, okay? We can definitely see what's happening under fuckface, okay? And I say that with a lot of love, okay? With all due respect, President Fuckface, you're a fuckface, okay? Are you talking about Shapiro in Pennsylvania? I don't know. I've only seen him speak a few times. He spoke very well. I don't know much else about him, but yeah, a possibility. And you know what? You may hate me for it. Some of you may hate me for it. I don't care. I think AOC might make a decent candidate. Okay, maybe not in 2028, but definitely down the line. Katie Porter would make a nice candidate for president in a future election. Okay? Bernie would still make an excellent president. And we fucked that up back in 2016, but enough of that. Okay? So just we need to be more, we need to resist more. Okay? We need to stand up to the bullies more. We need to go out and we need to organize more. We saw what happened with Jimmy Kimmel, okay? He got booted, and then a bunch of people said, you know what? Cancel your Disney, cancel your Hulu, okay? Do that. And they did it in droves. And it affected their bottom line, and then they went and they brought him back. Now, Sinclair is doing some shitty things, but we'll deal with that as soon as we can, okay? I say we, the collective we, the citizens who are not fascists, okay? Citizens who believe in a free and fair country, not free, well, free, freedom, And there was a woman who said something to me online like, oh, illegals are illegals and blah, 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 blah. And I always look at people's profiles before I talk to them. Just want to see what they're about. And this woman had, her father and her brother were both in the armed forces, okay? So what I wrote to her was, I said, I looked at your profile. I see that both your brother and your father served. If Trump succeeds in doing what he's doing, everything that your brother and father fought for was for nothing, okay? So consider where you stand with that thought in your head, that what they fought for in World War I and World War II will be for nothing if Trump continues on this way and succeeds in putting a number after 1776 dash. Okay? She didn't respond, of course, because, if they don't respond with a smiley face or a laughing emoji, that's when they're too stupid to understand what you're saying, okay? Few people I used to know, well, I still know them, but they're no longer friends on Facebook, they would put a laugh emoji because they don't have enough to say. They don't have anything to say to back it up or anything intelligent to say to back it up. And if what they said, what they came back with, met some Mets on the intelligence scale, okay? So I just think that we need to organize. We need to be up in the faces of the oppressors. We need to do more as the sane party, the sane people in this country holding it together, okay? Or trying to hold it together. Organize locally, do something nationally, or somehow be involved nationally if you can. All right, get out there, postcards, whatever. We need people to do more. And we need our leaders, our Democratic leaders of the Democratic Party, I should say, to do a lot more, to figure out their next steps, to stop being pussies in the face of fascism. Simple as that. And with that, I will open up the chat to anyone who wants to say anything. There aren't many of you here, but this will be my closing remarks after this. I need a drink. Now, I did not retain many listeners on this broadcast, which is fine. I'm in no way, shape, or form disillusioned as to my staying power, or the power of my voice has any staying power. Again, with some things not working that I had here, I could see why, but it's okay. I do this out of the love of seeing my own face on my computer screen. I would do this to photo booth or just FaceTime my own phone from the computer and do this, but why wouldn't I want to see all you folks in here? So it's all cool. It's all cool. But in closing, since I'm not getting anything back from the peanut gallery, do more, do better. For the folks in MAGA who may eventually see this somewhere, and you don't like what's going on in your party, do something better. For the MAGA folks who still have their blinders on and don't give a shit about what people like me say or call us the radical evil left or violent people or whatever, there's a term, it's the mirror of, oh God, what was the name of that? The mirror of confession or something like that. If anyone in the audience knows, it's like when you say something to somebody, but you're essentially guilty of it yourself. I think it was the mirror of, God, I forget. I'll find it and I'll think about it, whatever it was, and I'll post it somewhere. But it was something where you look in the mirror and you go, those liberals are bad. And you realize, I'm bad. Because mirror projecting, Red Sox are winning. That's excellent. They need to keep winning because if they don't, they're out. Mirror projecting. I think that's what it is. You're right, Andre. By the way, Andre, for you, I am halfway done editing the movie that we shot. And if you want, we have another one coming up in November. So if you're interested, let me know. Okay. Well, you know what? That's it. I'm not going to elongate this anymore because I've said what I come out to say for the most part. Jesus Jr. was no saint. He was nothing of the sort. If anything, he sowed the seeds of evil, of fascism, of violence against marginalized groups. That's his legacy. That will always be his legacy to the right-minded people, the correct, the non-insane people, okay? Because if they have that memorial service anywhere for an on-demand viewing, go ahead and watch that shit. Watch that craziness unfold. And you wonder how their heads just don't melt in from the craziness, from the insanity of it all. Like they're flying way too close to the sun. And I was really kind of bummed out too, I'll end on this, that the rapture didn't happen today. Because if the rapture happened today, all these fuckers would have been gone. All of them. Okay? Whether they went up or if Jesus changed the polarity and sucked them down, okay, they'd all be gone. And then we'd be left, for 100 years of whatever it is. We'd be fine. We'll do well. We'll be good. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much for joining me, for sticking around. This will be available on YouTube for replay. It will not be available on FaceTime for replay because I'm pulling it off of there as soon as this show is over. Have a great week. Be good to each other. resist, resist, and resist. Thank you so much. Have a great night.